When the devil and his rebellious fallen angels were cast out of heaven and subsequently crashed here on earth, they brought with them an insidious hatred for mankind, along with their extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile behavior. These fallen angels, exiles who were excommunicated from fellowship with God and citizenship in the paradise of heaven, came down to earth filled with rage. These same demonic unclean spirits of devils then proceeded to conquer and colonize the earth as a result. The unmitigated evil which they embody like a cancer has metastasized and spread throughout the entire world, corrupting governments, religious institutions, and every other facet of human life, making this the original rebellious gang of Hell's Angels, the secret rulers and controllers of the entire earth. They accomplished this task by hiding themselves in plain sight, taking on the form of men while carrying out the most heinous of acts against God's creation, as their mission is to seek and destroy as many souls as they possibly can before they themselves end up in hell. This undeniable truth is laid out for us plainly in Ephesians 6:12, which declares, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." With that being said, let's continue our journey down the rabbit hole as we delve deeper into these satanic ritual events in order to reveal the magicians and manipulators of our reality. At the end of Act 2, I asked you, who is Alan Berg? Now, I'll tell you the answer. Alan Berg was an American talk radio show host in Denver, Colorado. He was assassinated after being shot 12 times when he arrived home and stepped out of his black Volkswagen Beetle. His assassination occurred on June 18th, 1984, and it was carried out by members of a white supremacist group called The Order.
You're listening to Alan Berg on KOA.
Remember when I left you? You never shut up.
Alan Berg was a very famous talk show personality, and he was really outspoken and would love to take on racists.
If you're not a Christian, you're un-American. Is that your point, sir?
That's right.
He was driving back to his condo alone in his Volkswagen Beetle, and somebody gunned him down in his driveway.
Police say Berg's body was riddled with bullets.
Shell casings on the driveway.
It was a huge story throughout the country. Here's a Jewish talk show host who was assassinated. Who could carry out such a horrible crime?
Police in Denver say they have no firm leads yet regarding the murder of a radio talk show host.
The story behind Alan Berg's murder starts with an ideology that took root 1,000 miles from Denver in a remote corner of northern Idaho at the Aryan Nation's headquarters. The 20-acre compound was home to Richard Butler, who preached to his followers that white people were under threat from racial minorities, immigrants, and Jews, whom he believed controlled the federal government.
We are faced with extinction. We have a right to do whatever we can do to preserve ourselves.
Butler soon attracted the attention of FBI agent Wayne Mannis.
The most significant thing that Richard Butler did is he would have a gathering of people from all these different organizations.
They might be Klansmen, they might be skinheads.
What do we need? White power!
All of these people would come together for the Aryan World Congress.
Robert Matthews was one of them.
Why did you Jews get the heck out of here?
Matthews gathered some of the men from the Aryan nations and other groups and formed a secret splinter cell that broke off from the Aryan nations. They pledged their lives to create a whites-only nation. They were called the Order, a name taken from a novel.
The Turner Diaries depicted a group of people who made war on the federal government, culminating in the blowing up of the FBI headquarters and the nuclear bombing of the State of Israel.
They thought, why should this be fiction? Why don't we take up arms and start a race war?
The Order wanted to fund the rest of the radical right to create essentially an army of white men.
How that radical ideology continued to spread, surfacing again in a shocking attack in 1995.
It is apparently the single deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil ever.
An Army veteran named Timothy McVeigh, who was radicalized by some of the same anti-government ideas that inspired the Order, including the Turner Diaries, blew apart the federal building in Oklahoma City.
Now watch this. The date Berg was killed, June 18th, or 6/18, actually points to Revelation 6:1-8, which describes the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Not only that, but June 18th is the day after June 17th, which would later become infamous because of O.J. Simpson's slow-speed chase in the white Bronco.
It's a moment Americans will never forget. O.J. Simpson's notorious slow-speed chase. The date was June 17, 1994. Simpson was supposed to have turned himself in that day after the murders of his ex-wife Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman. Instead, there was this.
This is O.J. Simpson's vehicle.
90 million people watched as Simpson was driven around Los Angeles,
pointing us to the rider on the white horse, the very first horse of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The year 1984 points to the dystopian novel by George Orwell called 1984, about a totalitarian superstate and its dictatorial leader, as a reference to the coming one world beast system of Antichrist. Notice the use of the symbol of the X and the V for victory. Remember it, because you'll see it again later.
You're listening to Alan Berg on KOA.
Remember when I left you? You never shut up.
Denver, Colorado points us back to Obama's acceptance speech at Mile High Stadium, identifying himself as the rider on the white horse.
and great humility, I accept your nomination for presidency of the United States.
Further, the year 1984, or 84, also points us to Obama as the Antichrist, since his birthday is 8/4, and identifies him as the coming leader of the one world government.